Well, hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Yes, we have got our primary channel back on. You bet. YouTube realized they suck and I don't. So we nailed them, folks. We got them. Whew. Finally, someone with a brain over there goes, yeah, I guess John isn't violating our stupid rules, as stupid as they may be. Hey, welcome back. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. This is going to be the monologue followed by the Q&A. But we're going to mix it up a little bit. I'm calling this the Friday SHTF free-for-all. So it's going to be kind of a unfucking censored. We're not going to do the uncensored. I ended up having a bunch of stuff come up. I've got to be out all weekend long. But I will be back in time for Sunday Night Live at the zoo. But the Worldwide Weekly wrap-up, right? We're going to kind of throw that in here today. And it's going to be some good stuff. And I want to start off, again, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I had a very nice Thanksgiving. I had some good friends invite me for some turkey, some pork products, some wine. It was pretty good. I hope you felt multiculturally sensitive for all of the historic stupidity that's gone on. Fuck, folks, wait till I tell you the shit that's going on here. You're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love this broadcast. Let's start, though. I'm going to take you overseas. I'm going to take you over to Paris, France. Do you remember a few years ago when churches, Catholic churches, were mysteriously catching fire? And yeah, if you remember, even Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, if you will, that cathedral in Paris, ancient Notre Dame, burned. A hideous, raging inferno. There was some work being done on it, some renovation work, and somehow it miraculously caught fire. Well, now they've decided, folks, the renovators are hoping to turn that esteemed ground into a woke theme park with emphasis on Africa and Asia. And what I want to say to this is that is holy ground. Holy ground. Right? I am not a Catholic. I'm just a regular old John type of guy, but I understand and recognize what holy ground is, right? Prayers have been said on that spot for hundreds and hundreds of years. I also, I understand that church was also built on an even earlier holy ground. But I guess if you're going to build a woke theme park, maybe they'll have a ride called the Glory Hole where you don't know who's on the other side, given good times. But I guess that's the new holy sacrament these fruitcakes are trying to shove on us. I just find it absolutely filthy and disgusting that they would even propose such an idea, much less go through with it. I don't know what's really going to happen, but look out. So I'm going to raise this toast to you guys. I hope, like I said, hope you had a great Thanksgiving, wherever you're at around the world. And it's just, it frosts my fucking cake that these literal cocksuckers in Paris are proposing a woke theme park on the holy ground, folks, of Notre Dame, Our Lady. Unbelievable. Now, speaking of unbelievable dumbasses, right? Do you recall when cerveza bug broke out and everyone's like, okay, this is a really dangerous thing. Maybe you should do something. Maybe not. And so President Trump said, yeah, I think we're going to stop allowing flights from China. That would have been fucking smart, don't you think? And the Democrats and the mainstream media and all of these woke dumbasses in colleges and around the world said that was racist. I don't know how stopping a disease spreading is racist, but I guess it was because President Trump was president. Well, now we've got President Xi Biden, who is banning travel from South Africa and 7 other African nations due to the highly transmissible cerveza bug variant. I wish they would call it a mutant, because that's really what this is, a bunch of mutants running around. One of the names they have for it is the new NU, variant. Anyways, hello, Joe Biden, that's racist. Because I guess they're Africans. These are African countries. Well, if it's racist to stop flights from China, it's triply racist to do that from Africa. What I want you to do is hold your breath until someone comes out and says that other than me. And as you turn different colors, you're going to say things like, John, I'm holding my breath. I can't breathe. And then I'm going to say, see, now you understand how St. George Floyd, when he took a quadruple overdose of fentanyl. Yeah, that's right, folks. George Floyd died, according to medical experts, from an overdose of fentanyl. But that's racist if you point that shit out. Now, continuing with it's not mundane. See, you can't call it mundane. The stupidity out there, folks, is so off the fucking hook. That's like I said, I wanted to make this the free for fucking all Friday, shit it's the fan style. Because now colleges and universities, it's finally being reported, have been offering therapy. Therapy for what? For all of the returning veterans who, came back from war zones, or maybe the civilians that came back from war zones that were abandoned by the Biden administration and the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Pentagon, because those absolute pricks left everyone else standing out there with their dicks in the wind. Unfucking believable. No, folks, that's not what they need therapy for. These college students need therapy because of the Rittenhouse verdict. That's right. Kyle Rittenhouse, after the jury got all the facts of the case, all of the firsthand testimony from witnesses, and in some of the cases they seem like witlesses, but they were witnesses nonetheless. These dumb pricks went up there and they told the truth. It was great. You and I witnessed that. They had the case. The fucking prosecutors lied their asses off, misrepresented facts, bullshitted, and hid evidence. And still, they couldn't get a guilty verdict. And so college students apparently across the nation are crying as if Hillary Clinton lost the election again. Unbelievable, folks, because this was a racist verdict. Did you know that? Right? You need to go. And I want to remind you, folks, I need you on Patreon because we got to strike. Got to strike late Tuesday night. Unbelievable. Late Tuesday night, got to strike. And thankfully, it got rescinded. But I can just disappear like that. Now, people on Patreon here right now, live with me right now, you guys didn't miss a fucking beat, right? But you need to be on there. Anyways, back to this racist crap, right? If you're on Patreon, you'll get the link to the news stories. If you're not on Patreon, you don't get the links. You don't get special presentations. You don't get, folks, all of the video and PDF files and hyperlinks that go to medical information that is absolutely critical for you to understand. You can get it on Patreon, though, and we only charge $2 a month for a membership. 7 cents a day. 7 cents a day. The only way you could get more value out of that 7 cents is if it was 7 pennies and you had a slingshot shooting them at Joe Biden's ass. But you're not going to be able to do that. That's not allowed, by golly. Sure would be nice if it was. Anyway, these stupid fucking college students from coast to shining coast, they're absolute abject morons, and they're breaking down, crying. I can't wait, folks, until it's go time. Right? Imagine all of the flowers out there, how much they're going to bloom and blossom because of the countless tears coming from these snowflakes when they see their glorious communist revolution failing. It is just going to be a fucking mess out there. Okay, now moving along, folks. A soccer player, a former professional soccer player in Europe, is calling for an investigation because another pro athlete has collapsed. And yet, folks, another one on top of that, live on TV. These fucking soccer players are dropping like flies. It's almost like they, I don't know what they did. Oh, wait. No, I think I do know, right? What I think is going on here, folks, is it might be Jim Jones juice associated, don't you think? I mean, how many fucking pro athletes do you recall 10 years ago running out on the field and having a fucking heart attack? Name them. Name one. right? Now I remember there's a pitcher, I think, who played for the Los Angeles Dodgers, baseball. And this is back in the 1980s when cocaine was a big fucking hit. And I think his name was Howe. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he was like whacked out on fucking cocaine, pitching from the mound. He didn't have a heart attack. I guess he could have. That's supposed to be some crazy stuff for your heart. But hey, today, what are they taking? What miracle drug is out there? Well, the only miracle I know of is one that took 8 months to develop instead of 8 fucking years. Incredible, folks. So yeah, a pro soccer player, he's calling for an investigation. What do you think he's going to learn? Well, the investigation has been done, right? Someone needs to go to this guy. Someone needs to go to John Fleck and say, dude, the investigation's been done. We have the fucking answers. You guys are the morons who did as you were told, like a bunch of good stooges. That's right. Do anything you need to get that big fancy fucking paycheck. Well, I guess, maybe if I had terminal cancer and I could get a life insurance policy against a reaction from Jim Jones juice, then I might go out and do it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to die anyway. I'm going to leave the family with a big old chunk of change. Other than that, I can't see trying to do it. Shit, who knows, folks? Who knows, right? Where do we go with this? This is fucking great. Another one, folks. This is perfect for a Friday free-for-all that's going to replace, in addition to the Worldwide Weekly Wrap-Up Uncensored. Get this. An LA firefighter, red-blooded American, God bless him, accused of wiping his ass with a vaccine mandate order. That's right, folks. Officials are investigating in Los Angeles. They're quote, aware of an incident where a member responded inappropriately, they say, to a hand-delivered letter to comply with the mandate. So the LAPD spokesman, Cheryl Gattusa, that sounds like a stripper name, Gattusa, Medusa Gattusa. She told the Times Wednesday the incident allegedly occurred on November 18th. Who cares when? Why is that part of the fucking story? The department, they say, is aware of the seriousness of the allegations and took immediate action upon learning of this incident. Folks, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in every homeless encampment between here and there, in every major city across the United States, you have homeless people. Fucking psycho idiots out there, crapping in the streets, pissing in the streets, having sex in the streets, shooting up junk in the streets, throwing their fucking used syringes in the streets, and they're worried about one fireman wiping his ass with an unconstitutional order. That was the appropriate thing to do. But how do we see our nation being handled now? What do? That's right. We need to persecute and prosecute anybody who makes a symbolic or real stand against the cerveza stupidity. Well, I'm with this guy 100%. Fuck them. Unbelievable. He needs the Congressional Medal of Freedom right there with Kyle Rittenhouse. Unbelievable, right? Now, Medusa Gattusa of the LAPD said the unidentified firefighter is on paid administrative leave. Well, good. I'm sure when the firefighters look around and go, who's missing? And they go, oh, yeah, John Q. Smith isn't at work today. They're going to figure out who the unpaid one was, right? And he's going to, quote, will face the consequences of any inappropriate act. No. See, folks, understand this. And fucking make this perfectly fucking clear. An inappropriate act is not an illegal act. Inappropriate, this seems absolutely fucking appropriate to me. Don't you think? Unfucking believably appropriate at this time, 2 months after or 2 years after all of the bullshit. Almost an entire year now since they've come out with the Jim Jones juice that's supposed to be saving the planet, and it ain't. They're still trying to order people to get this nonsense. And firefighters, being first responders, know full well, because they respond to houses where people fall over from a fucking stroke, or they fall over from a fucking heart attack, or they fall over from fucking pulmonary embolisms, or they fall over fucking frothing at the mouth and foaming everywhere. Firefighters are seeing, folks, adverse effects. Absolute. How about paralyzation? You fucking bet. If you're going to get the Jim Jones juice, you better learn to dial your phone with your phone with your tongue. I'm telling you, right? You can lose total motor control of your body. Oh, that's okay. That's normal. No, it ain't. No, it fucking isn't. I've just heard too many reactions, folks, to people who have gotten Jim Jones juice. For those who have just gotten tested to see if they've got cerveza bug, getting sick left and right in ways you would not expect. It's unfucking believable, folks. And they're pushing it. They won't go away. So as far as I'm concerned, this firefighter performed a completely appropriate act. Very American. Show them your ire, folks. Tell them to kiss your ass. Or, you know, if you want to give me that order, I'll bend over and you can put it in the mail slot. Right? Forget it. Unfucking believable. Good man there on the LAPD, or I'm sorry, the LA Fire Department. Oh, here's another one. Adama Traore. Oh, another high-profile professional soccer player. I don't know why, but he just fell over right during a game. Folks, professional hockey player, fucking heart attack, dies on the ice. Professional basketball players can't play anymore. Oh, yeah, everything's fine. Not a problem there. Not a problem at all. And the thing is, folks, it's not like it's 1 in 20,000 that has some sort of reaction to Jim Jones juice, right? So good, it's worth dying for, right? You bet. It's so fucking safe, they have to mandate it. That's how good it is. It's so good, folks, that lockdown orders and other mandates are causing islanders. Folks, the most fucking peace-loving dudes on the planet are islanders. Whether you're talking Polynesians, Melanesians, Micronesians, they're fucking chill. So down in the Solomon Islands, they're now rioting and there's chaos because of overbearing government. Once again, you know, islanders, hey man, who gives a shit, right? Just roll a big doob and those dudes have a good old time. Yeah, they're finally pissed off and they've had it with this shit. Unbelievable. Good for them standing up for their rights. Now, I mean, can't Islanders say that they're part of the, you know, the POC crowd, persons of color, and that this is a political mandate that violates their human rights, and that it's coming from, yeah, the very white Washington, D.C. political establishment? That's what I would be saying if I was them. But, you know, what do I know? What do I know? Well, I do know. I do know that there's this new virus. They're saying it's, quote, highly transmissible and vaccine resistant, and it's in Africa. You know, just last week I was sharing a story with you that it's interesting that in Africa they don't seem to be having a whole lot of problem with cerveza bug. And a lot of people said, well, it's because they've developed strong natural immunity because of all the other diseases that have run rampant across the dark continent. Isn't that what they used to call South Africa? Or I'm sorry, Africa was the dark continent. It's like, or was that South America's the dark continent? I can't remember. What I do know, though, is that they're trying to scare the ever-loving shit out of them by saying it's highly transmissible and vaccine resistant. If it's brand new, and how do they know it's highly transmissible? Do they have thousands and thousands of cases? I thought they've had like 5 or 6 of this NU, the new one. How do they know it's highly transmissible? How do they know it's vaccine resistant? We do know, folks, that cerveza bug itself has breakthrough case after breakthrough case after breakthrough case. That sounds like it's highly transmissible. Or maybe the Jim Jones juice isn't as effective as we thought at curing thirst. Because that's what the Jim Jones juice is, right? It cures your thirst. Well, your thirst for what? All right, we can move on, folks. You know, these fruitcakes out here. And I'm not just talking about fruitcakes because it's the holiday fucking season. I'm not talking about a fruitcake with nuts and berries and those little chewy things that taste like shit, you know, fruitcake. I'm talking about this other kind of fruitcake, the kind who is a professor in college. And he has resigned because, well, he identifies as a his. This professor tried putting his research in a book to legitimize the attraction to underage children. In other words, trying to legitimize pedophilia. Oh, by the way, this is a trans professor. That's right, folks. Do you want nuts with your fruitcake, or do you want no nuts? Well, whether they've got nuts or not, they're all out of their fucking minds. Every last one of them, folks. Tom DeLay. You remember who Tom DeLay was? Congressman out of the state of Texas. Tom DeLay, longtime politician, Congress, House of Representatives. Tom DeLay came out several years back, about a decade back, and said, you know what? These fucking weirdos, they're going to try and legitimize and legalize, among other nasty things, pedophilia. And lo and behold, here they are trying to continuously push it, legitimize it, while teachers in California, these sick motherfuckers, go to a conference and someone records it and then they released it. Good for them. I'm glad they did. Because what it is was exposed how teachers are corrupting kids, children, folks, into joining their special little sexual groups. Unbelievable. Now, if you did that, or if I did that, or anyone else took the time and effort to talk to children and try and explain to them, you know, how these alternative lifestyles are great, and that, you know, they need to read these books that show explicit sexual activity, they would call that grooming, and you would be arrested. You would be charged, absolutely charged with pedophilia. But in schools now, they have sexual books showing homosexual activity. They try and normalize all of this stuff. And then they go so far as to recruit, right? They're going after the children, folks. But don't worry, it is the season of nuts and fruits. Yeah, this guy, expect more. Expect more. These sick fucks are out here. Well, this just in, a Filipino basketball star suffers cardiac arrest and fucking collapses because he lost consciousness. Nothing to see here. He just got a little too excited after having his Jim Jones juice. You bet, folks, we can expect more of these super athletes just to fall over fucking dead. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, folks. And I want to bring this to your attention. There are studies to show. Now, we haven't talked about this much, and I need you to look and read between the lines. There's a new product coming out. It's called Jim Jones toothpaste. That's right, Jim Jones toothpaste. And it has been proven, folks, to treat the serious, they're called cavity 19. That's right, the cavity 19 disease. The Jim Jones toothpaste. 365 studies have shown that the, I got to come up with a better name for this. It's unbelievable, folks. Think about what is out there that cures the thing that we're told nothing can cure. There's 365 studies showing that it is effective at curing cavity 19. The cure has been around for a long time, and it is anti-parasitic. You want to get rid of malaria? This toothpaste does that. Right? You want to get rid of intestinal worms? This toothpaste does that. That's right, folks, the Jim Jones toothpaste, right? It'll cure cavity 19. 365 studies, meaning independent, individual medical studies, meaning they have control groups, they give people medications, they're proving it works, but that's not what you need. I just had another friend, folks, came down with serious symptoms. They had cavity 19, and they took the Jim Jones toothpaste and fixed that. I'm telling you, 365 studies. Folks, if I read one study that I think was done properly, and I'm no medical expert, trust me there, but give me a study, a good one. Oh, okay. So we're supposed to believe them when the experts in Washington, D.C. say something based on their opinion, not even having any fucking studies. That little short bastard runs his mouth, and we're supposed to believe him, and he changes his mind every other fucking day. Remember when he said you should put toothpaste on your face, and then toothpaste no good, and then toothpaste on your face, and then no good? Oh, put on 2 layers of toothpaste, 3. Yeah, that'll take care of your cavities. I wish someone would fill his cavity with toothpaste. All right. Unfucking believable. I don't know what's in that drink. MSNBC has declared Thanksgiving is about white people celebrating genocide and violence against blacks. Was I fucking sick that day at school? Unfucking believable, folks. Was I sick? I must have been gone. I must have missed that fucking week. I must have missed that same week every year, because I remember that Thanksgiving was about pilgrims and Native Americans trading together, sharing knowledge and information, becoming friends, learning to live together, kind of an early multicultural experience on the old East Coast-a-roo there of the United States of America, before it was even the American colonies. And here we are, folks, 400 years later. Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving was before I think there were any blacks in America, right? The slave trade hadn't started. Right? There weren't Swedes in America yet. There weren't any Italians in America. There weren't any Irish. It was like English pilgrims. They're called the Pilgrims because they made a pilgrimage over here. Right? Unbelievable. Now Thanksgiving is about genocide and violence, and white people celebrating it, going, yeah, get the fuck out of town. It's absolutely ridiculous. All this is going to do, and MSNBC doesn't give a flying fuck, folks. They couldn't care. They just want to promote racial division instead of harmony. Whatever was done 200, 300 years ago, I can't change, but I'm not going to carry around the fucking guilt for it. And I'm certainly not going to take money out of my pocket and stick it in someone else's fucking hand because they want to pretend like they're offended. Give me a break. All this shit is an excuse for violence. And all this shit is, folks, is an excuse to stir up hatred. Unbelievable. Every day, every fucking day I'm out in public, I see people of color. Different shades, you bet, different heights, different genders. I don't give a fuck. High fives, shake hands, just stand there and bullshit like nothing, like fucking nothing. But MSNBC, CNN, the Democrat Party, they want to make it sound like white people hate blacks and that black people should hate whites, and I don't fucking get it. I guess that's what happened when you have an IQ above that of a fucking potato. All right, let's move on. And by the way, get your questions ready because we've got the Q&A coming up. We got the Q&A coming up. And you guys have got questions. It is the weekend. We made it past Thanksgiving. Thankfully, no one reenacted the pilgrims hanging blacks. What? See, it doesn't make any sense. They're just fucking idiots. It was just fucking idiots. Unbelievable. By the way, also the islanders in the French Caribbean, that is to say, I believe the island of Guadeloupe, which of course sounds Spanish. Maybe it's Guadeloupe in French. And then I think Martinique also. These are French islands in the Caribbean. They're having fires and riots and protests break out. Oh yeah, they don't like lockdowns there either. And this is very important, folks. I keep telling you, don't trust these motherfuckers. Don't trust them in DC. Don't trust them in any other capital in any other country. They lie, and they lie. They'll tell you, if you just do this, we'll stop all our foolish fucking nonsense. Well, they're liars. They're piles of shit. It's evidenced by how bad they stink. I mean, really, would you trust Nancy Pelosi in your house? Would you trust and invite in Andrew McCabe of the FBI or James Comey of the FBI? How about this? Would you invite Ruby Rod Rosenstein to your Thanksgiving dinner? How about this? You put your life savings in cash on the table, in your kitchen table. Would you let up Chuck Schumer come in or Joe Biden and just leave him alone in there? How about Kamala Harris? Nope, I wouldn't trust any of these fucking people, folks. I wouldn't trust them with a box of donuts because I'm sure they would just eat them all and then call me a racist and say I ate some, just idiots. So here it is in France. France is looking at other countries around it, and they're noting that other countries are starting to lock down their people again for no fucking reason, in my opinion. But other experts cite an uptick. Yes, folks, an uptick in cerveza bug. What do we call it? Yeah. Someone had an infection. They've been found to have cerveza bug. And so if you're infected, then that must be something really horrifying, because 99.85% of people that get it live through it. 85% even don't even have a fucking clue they've got it. Unbelievable. Anyways, France says this, hey, instead of locking down France, we're going to go for the trio. The triple. They're going to go for a third Jim Jones juice. That way they don't have to do a lockdown. All you got to do is get your third Jim Jones juice. I'm sure your heart will feel fine. Your lungs will be fine. Your brain won't get turned into Swiss cheese by the prions. That is spike proteins. Everything will be fine. Don't worry. Your lungs will be great. Unbelievable. That's right. Go get your third Jim Jones juice and they won't lock you down because there's a new wave coming. That's right, folks. Another tsunami wave is just going to crash on the world. We were talking about this in late spring of 2020. We are now at the end of 2021. 18 months later, they're still talking about waves. And we talked about all the waves back then. I still have the notepads, folks. Notepads. They may as well be Anne Frank's diary, and I should just bury them in the fucking wall or something, because someone someday will read them and go, what the fuck were they thinking back then? The governments were doing what? Unbelievable. But in France, folks, just take your third Jim Jones juice. Everything will be fine. You know what I call on this? I call total bullshit. You're going to get your third one and they're going to lock you down anyway. Because that's how they fucking roll. These people are a bunch of fucking liars and they know it. Unbelievable. Oh. It's, this one got me. It fucking got me. New York City, bastion of liberal pricks. They've now canceled a dead president. That's right, Teddy Roosevelt, the famous New York politician. That's right, he was part of the Bull Moose Party. You would think the Democrats would love him because he started the national parks system. Teddy Roosevelt was a member of the Rough Riders, right? He kicked the ever-loving shit out of the Spaniards down there in the Caribbean when he charged San Juan Hill. He's kind of one of those guys. He always had a chip on his shoulder. He's the guy that said, talk softly but carry a big stick. But he started this national parks thing. This kind of like, let's preserve our precious wilderness, even though back 120, 130 years ago there wasn't a whole lot going on. But still, right? This is a guy, he almost sounds like a fucking environmentalist. They are canceling his statue. Fortunately, they're sending the statue to North Dakota, and they're not going to melt it down to make a bunch of, bronze dildos, I guess. Who knows what these people would do, folks, if they had their way. These wacko fruitcakes. And I do mean to be explicit when I talk about them being a bunch of fucking weirdos and a bunch of sickos. Because you look what they're doing. When the January 6th protesters, when they were at the Capitol, who was firing concussion grenades? Who was firing rubber bullets? Who was firing pepper bullets? The police. When Antifa and BLM and the Black Bloc, when they were rioting and having it called peaceful protesting, they were the ones hurling explosives and flashbangs and assaulting the cops. They were the ones, Antifa, BLM, and Black Bloc, who were burning, committing, setting everything on fire, arson. They were looting. They were murdering people. They were spraying, graffitiing, destroying public and private property. None of that happened with the January 6th protesters. Nope. These freaks, these Antifa freaks, folks, who now know that if they're assaulting somebody, that person has a right to self-defense. Yeah, that's pretty well understood now. Right? These are the people that were pulling down statues and defacing statues and monuments. So much so that the president had to point to an actual federal law that says on federal property, you cannot do that. It is a felony to do that. That's what he had to do to stop it. Well, they're right. Now the January 6th protesters, they didn't spray paint anything. They didn't tear down any statues. New York City, down comes another one. Only this time, right, it's the politicians doing it. They can have it. They can have it, folks. Let's do this. Let's get to your questions. It is time for the Q&A.
Are you ready?
I kind of like the Friday free-for-all. I like the fucking sound of that. Just going off a little bit, blowing off some extra steam on Friday. Kind of makes me happy. Oh, man. I tell you, though, it is the shopping season for Christmas. And I want to remind everyone, if you're going to get something for Christmas, especially with inflation going up and getting harder to get products, harder to get everything, maybe a good time to make sure your preps are in order. So again, I want to recommend, at the very least, checking thepreparedmind.club for the things you need. Now, moving into the Q&A, we got William Travis checks in. He says, I have a question. Hey, Bill, I know you do, man. He says, I know Kyle was set free, but what about the guy who pointed his squirt gun at him? Well, yeah, that was the guy who got shot in the arm, right? He had his bicep basically vaporized. And yeah, the fucking prosecutor, that dim-witted jackass, tried making it sound during the trial like Kyle Rittenhouse used explosive bullets. Number one, they don't have any fucking thing that explodes. And he asked Kyle, well, is this kind of like explode stuff? And Kyle was like, no. I mean, 17-year-old kid knows that hollow points don't explode. By the way, he wasn't using hollow points. Right? Hollow point is it's both a hunting and self-defense round, but 99.9% of all ammunition chambered in 5.56 is full metal jacket. Yeah, it did vaporize his arm, but that came shortly after, not before, but jackass, I think his name is Gage. That jackass pointed his pistol at Kyle's head. Kyle responded in proper self-defense fashion, defended himself by depressing the trigger on his AR-14. Right? Let's see. What do we know about this kid? This guy that got his arm blown to pieces. He testified against Kyle in the trial, and he admitted pointing the gun at Kyle. Yeah, he admitted that he did that. Well, just a few weeks before that, his DUI charges, and I'm pretty sure this prior convicted felon who was about to shoot Kyle or attempt to shoot him with a handgun. Oh yeah, the unlawful possession of a handgun by a prior felon. And it wasn't an accident. He wasn't there defending himself. He was chasing Kyle. Yeah, I'm sure they're not going to charge him because they let him go. They dismissed all the other charges against him, DUI. But yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse. They want to call him a murderer, and they want to say it's white racism, it's white supremacy that a white guy defended himself from other white guys. In fact, the only person who was involved in the entire Rittenhouse affair that was a person of color was the guy who did a flying jump kick at Kyle's head. And he beamed him pretty good. Yeah, they call him Jump Kick Man. Yeah, that was the only black guy involved. And he didn't get shot. Thankfully, I mean, I don't want anyone to get shot, but I guess if someone's going to get shot, it may as well be people who are criminals committing huge crimes. Anyways, what happened to, what about the guy who pointed a squirt gun at Kyle? I'm sure he's going to write a book. I'm sure, well, he's now a saint. Yeah, what about him? The press has forgotten all about him. Don't worry about it. The prosecutor, they don't give a shit. If you're a leftist, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And the vice president of the United States will probably try and arrange your bail, because that's what she did in 2020 while campaigning as vice president. Camel Toes Harris. Yeah, that, right? What did the bitch do? She promoted the idea. She encouraged these people and said they should not stop rioting, burning, and looting. That's our vice president. What a fucking world. You want to talk about being in a bizarro world? You want to talk about an idiocracy running the country? You want to talk about two Americas, one of lawful behavior and one of not? Look out. All right, let's move on if we shall. We got Backcountry Preps. We got Big Vaughn checking in. How you doing there, brother? Hope everything's well with you and the fam. He says, if Trump wins in 2024, do you think he will abolish the FBI? My answer is no. Do I wish or hope that he does? The answer is yes. How about the CIA? I wouldn't mind them dividing the CIA up. Look, we've got on the federal level, folks, the FBI. You've got the CIA. That takes care of foreign and domestic law enforcement / spying. But we also have the Department of Homeland Security. We have the National Security Administration. We have the Department of National Intelligence, right? Isn't that the DNI? How many fucking law enforcement, quasi paramilitary organizations do we need at the federal level? I would like to see Trump just vaporize them all. That'd be great. What do we need? We need the Department of Justice. Oh yeah, the DOJ. There's another one. If we already have an Attorney General, the Department of Justice, why do we need an FBI? Why do we need, right, all the Department of Homeland Security? Why do we need all of this? Why do we need FEMA jails? That's once again law enforcement. Why does the United States Postal Service have a criminal investigation division? Why? Yeah, I would love to see Trump do something like that, Vaughn. I just don't think he will. At the very least, I think he can replace at the very top the people running those bureaucracies and charge them with getting rid of all the trash. Now, you know how hard that would be? Yeah, you can't. I think he found out you can't just go in there and be Trump and that's good enough. You can't just walk in there and say, I'm Trump. I have giant brass balls and I'm going to clunk anyone on the head that crosses me. No, they didn't give a fuck. They all colluded together to stonewall congressional hearings, to lie under oath, to refuse to give testimony when called by subpoena. 4 years of that shit we put up with. I would hope he learns his fucking lesson and just clears out all of the Comeys, the Christopher Wrays. I'm sure he can get one good person out of each of those bureaucracies, those law enforcement / national security bureaucracies, and say, okay, tell me who the dickheads are. We're firing them. We're absolutely firing them. I say fire them and give them their retirements. Fire them and give them their retirements. And then what? Then we can investigate them properly. And if it's found that they've committed any crimes, then you can go, sorry, we'll be taking that retirement back. But if you're a good asshole bureaucrat who hasn't committed crimes, you're just a political asshole like Peter Strzok. Okay, if you haven't committed any crimes, then you're out of here anyway, because we don't need guys like you. That is what I would hope a returning President Trump would do. But I don't think he'll be able to abolish the FBI and all the other bureaucracies. The There is going to be a huge, however, political consequence for everything that's happening. We still have, folks, 3 fucking years of Joe, the puppet idiot Biden. We got 3 more years of him crapping his pants and crapping all over the Constitution. Man, what a free-for-all Friday this is turning out to be. Woo! Not good, folks. None of it's any good. I'm not happy with any of it. It's just turned into a giant shit show. Now, what else have we got there? A Jolene. We got, Blue Coat Gorilla checks in. And he says, so South Africa is restricted. Did they in any way recover from societal collapse earlier this year? If collapse further, will it be televised to entice the world to do the same? Then the powers that can implement their lockdown, extreme rule of law scenarios. Now, South Africa has got more problems than cerveza bug. It is, I don't know what they want to call it. I've heard the term black empowerment used. I've heard the term anti-apartheid or white apartheid. Essentially, since Nelson Mandela got released from prison, which wasn't a nice thing to do, they've had a little problem down there with communism. You want to call it socialism and pretend like it's sweet. Well, you can call it whatever the fuck you want, but you couldn't drag me to South Africa with free plane fare and resort. No, they've got some problems down there, and they are, South Africa is bad, folks. It's been bad for a long fucking time, and it is race related. South Africa is not where we're at here in the United States of America. And if you want to see racial problems, go to South Africa. You want to see who's committing the racially motivated crimes, go to South Africa and learn the facts. I've done my best to learn the facts, look at both sides, listen to both sides from right here in my comfortable bunker in America. I don't feel like going down there to find out the hard way that, I'm not welcome. As far as, is that a model for the rest of the world to emulate? I would say no, it really isn't. I don't think the rest of the world really has a model like that. They are part of this globalist system. South Africa is. Everything seems to be a socio-political experiment to see what the results are. But South Africa was once a thriving nation until it was ordered that, it's a fucking mess down there. It really is. I don't recommend anybody go there. As far as extreme rule of law, they have extreme rule of law there with the police and military, and it seems that they have a tendency to commit the act of rape. Quite literally, there are thousands of cases of rape over the last decade in South Africa coming from both the military and the police. Now, if that is an extreme problem, I don't know. Oh, by the way, they don't really prosecute those rape cases either or investigate them. The place is a disaster, folks. Absolute disaster. You'd be surprised how many people don't pay any attention to what's going on around the world. Right? South Africa, yeah, you show up there, you could get killed, you could get taken hostage, you could be killed because of what color you are. It could be any color, it doesn't matter. They could kill you just because you're American and they don't like you. Hey, that could happen down in Mexico. Was it Cozumel or Mazatlan? I think it was Mazatlan, where people were enjoying their vacation at the Hyatt, and in came the drug cartel and basically went up to everyone in the resort and said, we're here to rob you, give us your money. And the federales were nowhere near found, right? No police, nope. It was just basically a fucking shakedown of American tourists. The places you can go, if you're even allowed to go anywhere, are becoming less safe. Less safe. Like I was mentioning the island of Martinique and Guadeloupe. Really, you're going to go there and put up with riots and fires? You're going to, you're not even allowed to go to other countries. They've screwed the whole system up. I'm predicting, like I said, there'll be lockdown in many states. I really think the United States government, that is that little trashy, crappy piece of dirt there called Washington, D.C., I bet they're going to try and stop interstate travel again and say, yeah, you're locked down. You can't travel across state lines unless you have the Jim Jones juice certification, unless you get a Joe Biden passport, unless you do everything they say. You bet, folks, they're going to try it all. They are not going to give up. So enjoy life, but be prepared. All right, we got Biaxo checking in. He says, Erie County, Buffalo, New York. That's right, folks. Erie County is in Buffalo, New York, or Buffalo, New York is in Erie County. He says they implemented their mask mandate on Tuesday. That's correct, folks. Now some business took it upon themselves to put in Jim Jones proof. Show your papers to go. Some places are standing up. Well, they took it upon themselves to put in Jim Jones proof. So some businesses, it sounds like, in Erie County have said, no Jim Jones juice allowed in our business. We're starting to see that. They've tried that. This is before in Florida. Over there in Florida, Governor DeSantis is continuing to whip ass on the communists. God bless them. And God bless anyone that stands up and fights for freedom. They were having problems. They were trying to introduce the idea that private businesses or the government could mandate the passports, and they outlawed it and said, no, you don't. And there was one business that said, we don't want anyone in here if you've got the Jim Jones juice. And rather than the people boycotting it, they got so much business that it blew them away. People supported that idea. So if you know of any businesses, folks, that are saying, hey, you're not allowed to come in here if you've got the Jim Jones juice, support them. It's time to start supporting people on our side. And I still believe, let's start boycotting them, right? Coca-Cola, boycott them because, their employees are too white. Or Dick's Sporting Goods, the anti-Second Amendment store, the anti-freedom store. Just there's so many of them now. Look them up. Look them up. Moving along, we got Oregon Patriot. And by the way, this is a worldwide broadcast. The Free for All Fuck It Friday. I know we've got Vincent Boyle from Belfast, Ireland checking in. I said hello to him earlier in the chat. I know we've got people from around the world, but this is Oregon. May as well be not only in another country, but Oregon is almost like another planet. He says, I watched a video that was saying we're only, quote, one announcement. We're only one announcement away from the dollar totally collapsing. That could come from China or many others. Your thoughts? Number one, the American people are too fucking stupid to know any better. Too stupid to know any better. Back in, I think it was 2008, Hank Paulson, Treasury Secretary under President George H.W. Bush. No, George W. Bush. H.W. was his dad. George W. Bush. And he walked into Congress, and he stood inside Congress. Now, why wasn't he arrested for trespassing the way other Americans have been? Never mind. Back to the thing. Hank Paulson showed up in Congress and said, if you don't give us TARP money, there's going to be blood in the streets tomorrow. TARP was Troubled Asset Recovery Program, something like that. And the idea was, it was a shakedown. I think it was $900 billion he demanded that Congress give them to save troubled assets. Remember, we had Lehman Brothers, huge investment firm, failed, but they seemed to manage to bail out everyone else. Lehman Brothers was the fall guy. People back then, I think, had a little bit better idea what was going on, but in all truth, how can the American people understand jack shit when they're saying modern monetary theory, that is, the unending spending of government money? In 20 years, the national debt has gone from 1 trillion to well over $30 trillion. And that is just the money we know about. Man, they're like, well, how can we be out of money? The printing presses are still working. Every young person I've talked to thinks that the government has money. That I guess they believe there's like a treasury that's full of diamonds and gold and shit. Unbelievable. So when you say, I watched a video saying we're only one announcement away from the dollar collapsing, I don't think China could say anything unless our mainstream media, at the behest of their masters, wanted it promoted. It won't come out. China can say what they want. Russia can say what they want. Europe can say what they want. But unless and until the powers that be for the political leftists, until they want us to be scared, nobody can say anything. It has to come from their masters. So I do agree, though, that it's just one announcement. The announcement could come from the President of the United States. The announcement could come from the head of the Federal Reserve, the Federal Reserve Chairman, which is still going to be Jerome Powell, idiot extraordinaire. And that's right. He was originally appointed by Trump, and he turned out to be not what Trump was hoping for. Funny how that worked. Anyways, we're always truly only one announcement away from anything they want to do. It's just who says it and how believable is it. They could declare, let me put it this way, Congress could declare war. That's one announcement away, right? If Congress took up a vote and declared war, that would be like a huge collapse of the idea of peace, the notion of peace. Bam, gone like that. One announcement coming from the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board would collapse Wall Street, the investment finance sector. So it just depends on who says it, but no one is going to say jack shit that collapses anything unless and until the powers that be are ready for it. Now, you and I, even though we're preppers, we will not be given advance notice. That one announcement you're talking about, when it comes, it's going to come fast. It's going to come hot. It's going to take everyone by surprise. We're all going to be told simultaneously by every news system out there, panic, 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 panic. And they'll start talking about all the bad things that are going to come because of what happened. But, you know, when it comes, it comes. You have to be prepared ahead of time, in other words. We got Biaxo back. He says, what I meant is that certain business took it upon themselves to require proof to get in on top of the new mask mandate. Oh, you're going the other way. So certain businesses said, hey, we want you to show us your vaccine passports as well as wear a mask. Well, I would look at them and say, go fuck yourselves. I'll take my money elsewhere. And you vote with your feet. One more time, folks. Go to thepreparedmind.club. Buy sprouts and grow your own vegetables in your own house in a series of mayonnaise jars. Don't go buy their shitty ass vegetables. Grow your own. They're more nutritious. Meat, right? I think we've got a deal with a meat company out there. Buy meat from someone you trust, a local butcher. Find a local butcher. They're out there. Get some local meat. Or get our Blue Nest beef that we're selling over at thepreparedmind.club. Do something, but quit rewarding these major corporations for being dicks, right? Get all your prepper items and then pull out of the system. You know, you don't need them. They need us, but they keep making us believe that we need them. All right, I got Fourth Dimension. This is Big Kaz coming in. He says, so you think there is collusion between China and Russia with the invasion of Taiwan by China and Ukraine by Russia? My theory is they will invade both simultaneously. That would confound the United States military establishment and Joe Biden. Joe Biden doesn't, he probably thinks he's in charge of Russia by now. Seriously, yeah. Like let's reverse it. If China invades Taiwan while Russia simultaneously invades Ukraine, it would pretty much smell like they're cooperating with each other and doing that to create a military quandary, right? What do we do? What do we do? That's the quandary, because we can't be on both sides of the planet at the same time, not in full force. Yeah. Now, what would, if Russia were to invade Ukraine, is that the United States' job to deal with it? Well, under the NATO agreement, it is, right, to protect the NATO states. Is Ukraine a NATO state now? Okay, now if Russia invades Ukraine, could that be viewed as an act of aggression by a state, right? Calling for others to get involved. In other words, creating World War fucking III. Well, yeah, it is. And who should be handling that first and foremost? The European nations who are most at risk. So those in Eastern Europe should be screaming their heads off. Why would Russia invade Ukraine? Ukrainians hate Russians, folks. The Ukrainians hate Russians. There's a lot of Russians that live there, a lot of old Soviets. There's a lot of problems, right? Even though they're all white, a lot of them don't like each other. Estonians, Lithuanians, Georgians, Belarus. There's a lot of people that have a lot of problem, right? A lot of anger and hatred with them, with the Russians. But you get past the Russian states, and then you get into Eastern Europe. You got the Czech Republic, you got Slovakia, you got Poland, Macedonia, Hungary. You got all of those, Romania. They're not going to be real happy about that. Then you get a little further to the west, you got Germany. Don't worry about Switzerland. They're not picking sides. Italy, France, right? It's a lot of trouble there. Those nations need to start, stop giving their money away. And maybe they ought to start doing something and covering, paying for their own defense. Now, moving over to the Pacific Ocean there, or the South China Sea specifically. Yeah, China may, and they've been threatening Taiwan, and they're pissed about Taiwan. They don't like anyone recognizing even that Taiwan is its own nation, which is absolutely fucking ridiculous. But again, we're talking about politicians. Big trouble if that happens. Yeah, the United States, don't we have a compact? Isn't Taiwan an ally of the U.S. and Japan and Australia? Yeah. The weaker the U.S. is, the more inclined other nations will be to start trouble. But who has destabilized the U.S.? That's right, the Democrats. They've destabilized our nation. They've destabilized our military. And guess what? Right, there's a price to pay for that. So get prepared. Not because you're going to repel Chinese or Russian invaders, but because you need to worry about who's in your neighborhood. Right? We got communists in our own country here that are just raring for a fight. So get prepared, folks. And chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Godspeed to y'all. Semper Fi. I'll see you Sunday night live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. And I want to thank you for joining this Friday free-for-all to discuss shit hitting the fan. You guys be cool.